Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Silmarillion Film Project. This is session number 29 of season 6. We are in the home stretch. Now, is it fair to call it the home stretch? We're kind of home stretchy. We're at least around the final turn here in season 6 of the Film Project. And tonight, we are going to talk about casting. I am, unfortunately, Dave, who always likes this episode, couldn't make it tonight, sadly. But Marie and Nick are with me. Nick will be back in just a minute. We're going to talk about casting. This is the night that actors across the world wait for with bated breath. So I'm sure all the actors are tuning in to see who actually gets the role. It's a major day of announcements, and so we want to say in advance to all of the candidates that you're all very, very worthy candidates. There were so many excellent nominations. We were sorry we couldn't pick them all. We just had to do the best we could. But before, to add to the suspense, just a little bit longer, two quick announcements. First, we have upcoming moots that are happening, and in particular, I would draw your attention to Maple Moot, which is 2 days from this very day, on Saturday of this week. In fact, tomorrow I'm headed to Toronto to go to Maple Moot. Very excited for our first ever Canadian moot. So if you happen to be in the Toronto area, it is not too late. You can still join us at Maple Moot, or of course you can always join us perhaps more conveniently, depending on exactly how close to Toronto you are, join us remotely. Because all of our moots are fully hybrid, and all of our attendees, both the remote attendees and the on-site attendees, do have, as it says there, you can access recordings of it if you miss anything. So, anyway, Maple Moot happening, and I'm going to be doing at this moot. I'm going to be doing the first stages of my my new experiment, my new exploration. Marina, I think I told you guys about this. This comes out of my Tuesday evening discussions, when I've been noticing patterns of alliteration in Tolkien's prose, and thinking about the function of the alliteration there, like what's apart from just like kind of alliterating compulsively, which I think is part of the issue. I also, my theory that I was developing is that Tolkien, through the alliteration patterns in his prose, is developing a kind of phonoaesthetic soundscape for his prose passages. And I want to see how different alliterative patterns correlate with different kinds of passages and descriptions, and to see if we can get a sense of the kind of like meaning and significance, like, and sort of like mood and stuff that Tolkien associated with particular sounds and sound combinations. It's a longitudinal project, but I'm gonna talk about it because now, like, once I notice it, like, I see it in every like paragraph, especially the description paragraphs, like not the sometimes in dialogue, but much more commonly in the descriptions. Anyway, it's gonna be fun. So this and much more happening at Maple Moot on Saturday. Then we have a little moot hiatus until September, except, of course, for Myth Moot, June 22nd to 25th in Leesburg, Virginia. That's our big annual convention. That's that's the big one down in Virginia. Definitely recommend that. Looking forward to seeing folks. I think you two are both going to be there. No, Marie, you're not sure? Well, plus minus this year. Okay, Nick, you're coming, right?
Yes, I just confirmed it a few days ago.
That's what I thought. Okay. Anyway, always good to see you guys when you can come. Great to connect with lots of folks. So encourage you to definitely look into that. The other announcement that I wanted to deliver, if I can find my little announcement thing. There's my little announcement thing. So so this coming weekend is Maple Moot. The weekend after that, on Saturday, May 27th, is going to be our May Showcase for Space. So we have a lot of new stuff going on in our space program. New languages we're teaching, new sort of humanities subjects we're teaching, more creative writing that we're teaching, all kinds of things going on in our space program. So what we're doing on Saturday, May 27th, is a showcase consisting of a whole bunch of what we call space capsules, which are half-hour mini classes for space. These are not just like lectures or advertisements or infomercials for space or something like that. These are actual little mini classes. So the teacher is going to lead a discussion for half an hour on the topic of that module. And so the thing that you can do right now this week is you can go to the link that was just posted there. There we go. I think I can post it to YouTube too. I am multi-talented. Look at that. Okay. Maybe it can work. Maybe it won't. Anyway, so no, it logged me out. That was delightful. Okay. Never mind. Fine. It's all good. You go to this page. On this page, you see there's a registration link. There's one up here, and there's another one down here. And the registration link brings you to a form where you can express interest in one or more of these sessions. That's if you want to participate as a student live. So what's going to happen is we're going to have the teachers and students doing these space capsules all day long. And people will also be able to sort of attend passively and just watch. That will also be available. Right now, we are solidifying the participation across the board for people to come who would like to participate. There's of course no charge for this. This is just to sort of help people to get a glimpse of the stuff that's coming up in space. And you can see there's all kinds of things going on here, from some Tolkien stuff. We've got New Better Do Better teaching on the realm of Arnor. We've got James Tauber looking at the history of Middle-earth before the Lord of the Rings. We've got Dune and Lovecraft going on. We've got some creative writing happening. We have some linguistics and language stuff. You can learn about the International Phonetic Alphabet. You can learn Japanese. All kinds of things going on. You can learn about Ubuntu. You can learn about African philosophy. All manner of things happening on that day. Introduction to classical mythology. So many things. So I encourage you to check this out, and then there'll be another link that'll be posted for people who just want to attend and watch. But for now, if you'd like to participate, there's still time to get involved in that. So just a glimpse into what's coming up in our upcoming season there in space. All right. And now, let us return to the announcement. It's like an award ceremony. This essentially. I mean, it's almost like, just think of all these actors who are finding out whether their dreams are coming true, like whether they're going to get their dream roles. And of course,
I have it on pretty good authority that at least one person might be excited. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. We'll see. Okay. So, some of this, of course, now that we're in season 6, we've already done 5 sets of casting before, sometimes for our frames, sometimes for our primary seasons. So we have a number of folks who have already been cast. And so we're going to be recapping some of those things, especially because some of that's needed for context for the characters that we're going to be talking about. And can I just say, like, obviously, his casting as Estelle is clearly where Timothée Chalamet got his big break, right? I mean, right? I think it's pretty clear that they picked him up for Dune after the work that he did as Estelle in the frame in the Silmarillion project. I mean, we really plucked him out of obscurity and put him into the spotlight, I think. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because the kind of like unwitting savior figure, like, that's very Paul Atreides. And so it's in fact, we may have typecast him.
I think we did. That's exactly it. That's exactly, because we cast him in season 3, didn't we? We were casting like teenage Aragorn, right?
Yes.
The season 3 frame. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. No, I think, I mean, it has all of the fingerprints of that, right? That clearly they were like, oh man, this guy they have, playing teenage Estelle in the frame of season 3 of Film. He'd be perfect for Paul Atreides. Yeah. No, I think that's kind of amazing how, and that was 5 years ago. I mean, that was at least 5 years ago, wasn't it?
It's in the neighborhood.
Probably, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember things in real time now. I just measure time in some film seasons.
It might have been 2017, but it might not have. I really don't know.
It might not have been. Can't really tell. Yeah, I hear that. Okay. All right. Yes, I keep forgetting. Marie, I don't know if it's symptomatic that I keep forgetting that we cast Benedict Cumberbatch for Elrond. That was like 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, that was the very first round of casting.
Season 1.
That happened. Yeah.
That was season 1 casting.
Marie's never forgetting.
Right. So it's not my choice, but you know, it's other people's choice. That's fine. I never watched Sherlock. That's probably why I don't like the guy, because I don't like Khan. But whatever. That's me.
Right.
But it turned out I went back in the boards to look at suggestions that had been made in season 1 for elves and various things to see if we had missed someone that I could have suggested for this season, right? Turns out that back in 2015, someone on our boards said, who might make a good elf, like maybe Elrond for the season 1 casting, would be Joseph Mawle, who plays Adar in Rings of Power season 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I saw that. I'm like, well, speaking of suggesting someone ahead of time, this guy would make a good Elrond. Yep.
I think he would have made a great Elrond, actually.
So now if I ever get mad about it, I'll just be like, well, we didn't nominate him. So it was never went anywhere, but that suggestion was made and it was a good one. I believe it was Hakan who had made that suggestion.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll just use that as my headcanon. It's fine.
There you go.
You mean your internal adaptation?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to make it a thing.
So this is, we don't, and this is almost all we need for the frame, right? We're not casting anybody for the frame.
Right. We don't need any new casting. It's all already done because we're reusing characters we've already introduced.
Right.
So that's exciting that we finally have built up enough characters. We should just use our existing ones.
Exactly. Okay. And then we have, and this is the rest of the frame cast, right? Celeborn, very, very supporting cast. Yeah. Right. Our Galadriel. Wow, that was another really long time ago. That was season 2, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Both of those were cast in season 2.
Yeah. And which one is Glorfindel? Is this the one down on the bottom?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been in movies with blonde hair, so I'm sure we used a picture of blonde-haired him to cast him.
Right. Yeah. Presumably. Yeah. Okay.
I was trying to get vaguely current photos of the actors.
Right.
So.
Good. The guy on the bottom right, is this Ben Whishaw down here on the bottom right?
Let me check.
Guy with the beard on this bottom right of this slide?
Yes.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. What's he from? What do I know him from? I know he's not on the current list, so.
No idea.
No, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know him.
Sorry. I'm just doing that. This is the game that I am constantly playing when my wife and I are watching movies. Is like I'm pretty good at recognizing faces, though it sometimes takes me a while to put it together. But it really, I'm one of those people that like it really bugs me until I can figure out like where I remember the person from. So
yeah, I had to really struggle last night to convince my wife that Chidi from The Good Place was in fact in the new Guardians movie.
Right.
Which he is.
Yep.
Yeah. So IMDb is very useful for that, because if you're watching something and like, where have I seen this person before?
That's when the annoyance of not being able to remember overcomes the desire to figure it out myself. I always feel a vague sense of shame when I have to go to IMDb. Yeah. Okay. All right, so main story. So here are already cast elves. We have, all right, we've got Paul Bettany as Thingol, which I still think is a great casting. By the way,
he's amazing.
I'm a huge fan of
Yeah.
that. I've been becoming a bigger and bigger fan of that casting the more time has gone by. So yeah, Paul Bettany is Thingol. Rachel Weisz is Melian. I don't know her very well.
Did you see the Black Widow movie?
Yes.
Oh yeah, she's her mom.
Oh, the mom. Okay. Right. Gotcha. I did.
Yeah, that's one of her more recent things. She's done a lot.
Yeah.
She's an extensive career, but
Right.
Again, Marvel is usually a good go-to. This is the person's role in Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah, and I am still caught up on the Marvel stuff, so that will work for me. So yeah. And you're right, like because Marvel seems to like from the beginning seems to have practically set out to be like let's get every famous actor that can possibly be gotten in one way or another. It is helpful.
So weird to see Bill Murray come on the screen. So strange.
Okay, and then we've got our Luthien, Jessica Brown Finlay, whom we've talked about before. We've got Beleg and Mablung in the top left and top right corner there, respectively, and Dairon in the bottom right hand corner, which I still really I still don't know him, but like every time I see his face, I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Like that, he's a
that's
perfect Dairon. Yeah, that's the guy. Okay, so those are our basic Doriath elves who are already established. We don't really need any new Doriath elves in this season. Other Noldor of note. We have Finrod there, top left. Nico Evers Swindell. Sam Claflin, is Caligorm in the bottom left. Curafin, Ben Barnes, which kind of love, actually.
Yeah, no.
Kind of love Curafin. Apart from the T-Mobile commercials, which kind of erodes his gravitas a little bit, but with that exception, it's fine. It's fine. I think he could do a very good job as Curafin. Is Celebrimbor? Which one do we have as Celebrimbor? Which one is Orodreth? Okay.
Ezra Miller, they're Celebrimbor, and Toby Regbo is Orodreth. So the one on the very bottom who's blonde is Orodreth.
Is Orodreth, right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he had not yet been cast as the Flash when we cast him as Celebrimbor.
Really? Okay, I don't remember when we did this, though. And I don't know when the Flash happened, but
it was a while ago. In any case, I mean,
I actually didn't know it was the Flash, so I'm just completely useless here.
Someday, Nick, there's going to be an entire documentary, right, on like the actors who got their big break from in the film project.
Somebody should make that.
Somebody should. That would be good.
Yeah. Although realistically, it's also very indicative of people who listen to film. What are they watching?
Yes.
At the time, because we definitely went through like, here's the Game of Thrones actors, here's the Vikings actors,
Yes, exactly.
And yet we have somehow avoided casting either of the Winchester boys from Supernatural.
We've nominated them for a few things, and by I mean
right. I was going to mention the cast of Supernatural, but yes,
we do have someone from Supernatural in this slideshow, by the way. Because there's a lot of actors who have been on that show.
Yeah, they're another one that,
I mean, among other people, Paris Hilton was on that show.
Right. Wide cast indeed. So Una Chaplin playing Duriel, who dies in this season. So this is
I wanted to make sure we got her included in this group.
Yeah. Okay, and of of these, Celebrimbor clearly has the smallest role in this season, I think, but definitely importantly present there, as this is the separation, right, between him and
Exactly. This is the season where he separates from his dad. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, good, good. And all right, now new elves to cast. Now we don't have very many, and they're relatively minor, as I recall. Most of our bigger casting is human in this season. But okay, so the general, and we already had our season 6 episode where we talked about casting, and we went through kind of things that we're looking for and everything. And I'm looking forward to being reminded of all the things that I said in that episode, which I have now utterly forgotten by this point. So, so that's fine, and I'll be wholly susceptible to having the past changed on me, and I'll never know the difference of what I said I wanted. But not that anyone would do that. I'm not saying. I'm just saying if it happened, I wouldn't know. Okay, so for elves, it's hard to cast elves that are. It's not impossible, but it's hard to cast elves that are very much short. Really, really short. Not impossible, but it's hard. And we generally look for between the age of 25 and 40, and then ideally people who can just pretty much stay there and not age. That's the other thing that we look for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Willing to submit to full body scans for future.
Right, because we will be replacing you with CGI in a few years, so that you will stop aging. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of actors who look pretty much the same over a long range of their careers.
So true.
So we're just looking for ageless actors,
Yeah, that's it, which doesn't seem too much to ask, especially in exchange for the glory of being in film. So most of the Noldor will be dark-haired, of course. It is possible to wear wigs, though it's a little bit preferable to have somebody whose natural coloration actually fits the color of the hair that they're supposed to be wearing. But
it's typically easier to go darker with hair color. Somebody's complexion going from a dark hair color to a lighter hair color, that's when it starts to get a little bit more noticeable, I think. Anyway.
Agreed. Yeah. Icon says those imaginary paychecks better be good. And I got to tell you, we pay a very great deal of imaginary money to our actors.
Yes.
I mean,
the most, in fact.
Yeah. In fact, more imaginary money than they get from almost any other production they're in.
It's true. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Marie, you were going to say something more.
I think I was just going to mention that Tulkas is blonde and Tulkas is the Rock. But that's what happens when you're a Vala. It doesn't matter if your hair coloring matches your natural complexion or not.
No, I mean, rules are pretty much out when you can pretty much, make your...
Look like a tree if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But for the elves, it would be nice if it looks like it would work well to put a dark-haired wig or a blonde-haired wig on various actors.
Right, exactly. Okay, so the chief elves that we're looking for are for the crew that goes with Finrod, right? So they're in for what, 2 episodes? One in which they talk and one in which they're killed off one by one.
Right. Well, I mean, they're
as actual characters, yeah.
They've been on screen as background characters in Nargothrond for a couple of episodes leading up to this.
Right.
So that you would have seen them and heard them and recognized that they're part of Finrod's group. But their main role is to be his loyal supporters who leave with him and then die by being eaten by werewolves.
It would probably behoove the casting director to arrange for them to have shown up in episodes as early as season 5, because we do spend a decent chunk of time in Nargothrond, the early episodes of season 5.
Right. Okay. Excellent. And so I'm sorry, I'm looking at these actors because I know nothing about them. So it's Brett McKenzie, Ed Spilliers, J.J. Field, and Sam Riley. And I'm looking at what they've done. Oh, man. So there's one Sam Riley who is in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. which is a great recommendation. And then another, J.J. Field, the one in the top right here, who has played Henry Tilney in Northanger Abbey. So we've got some strong Jane Austen and pseudo Jane Austen connections here, which is always a recommendation to me, or at least it makes it more likely that I will have seen their work before. Okay.
You've also seen Brett McKenzie,
right?
He's in Lord of the Rings.
Right. He is an elf in the background.
Oh yeah, isn't he Fitwig?
Yeah, Figwit. Yeah,
Figwit. Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
We gotta find a home for him somewhere.
That's true. I could see an argument for this. Right, he's the New Zealand guy. And so Inglor is the one who is like the sort of senior elf of the group, right? He's the one who's like pretty much, at least the impression that I got from Ilana's episode there was that he was kind of like Finrod's lieutenant as they were, setting forth there.
Yeah, the idea is that he's the old friend from Valinor,
right?
In contrast to the others who are elves of Beleriand, who are younger and are involved in the war. So his loyalty is I've been with you for this whole journey. The other guys are like, well, this is the right thing to do, and we're stoked for,
right?
So just some contrast of motivations. But yeah, we wanted someone established, and obviously the reason we chose the name Inglor is because this is the father of Gildor Inglorion.
Right. I was going to say it's also like clear that he's such a good friend with Finrod that Finrod gave him his name when he was done using it. So
yeah, pretty much.
Inglor, of course, one of Finrod's original names
yes.
Before Tolkien changed his name to Finrod. So yes. Yes.
Well, we went with the idea that Tolkien always treated the published Lord of the Rings as the definitive version, so he would rewrite the other stories to somehow make what was written in Lord of the Rings work.
Right.
So now Inglor's a new guy hanging out with Finrod instead of Finrod.
Yeah. No, that seems an appealingly Tolkienian solution to the problem, right? Take the established text and find a way to explain it, right? So, Gildor Ingorian of the House of Finrod, that works. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado,
drum roll.
Ed Spaliers wins. Oh man, he was like the least of the ones I was looking at. Let's see.
He's in Aragon.
He's in Aragon.
And he's
Downton
in
Abbey.
Downton Abbey, yeah.
Oh, okay. Other things you might have seen. I don't know.
I
was trying to think of most likely.
I'm pretty sure that Downton Abbey was on your radar.
Yeah. So, right. My own primary viewing experience is going to be Marvel and Star Wars, and also lots of British period dramas. I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty strong in all of those things.
Fair enough.
Okay. Right. I remember him in Downton Abbey. He was a footman, a relatively minor character, as I recall. Now that I look at him, thinking about that. Okay. All right. From footman in Downton Abbey to Lieutenant Elf in Film Project, that seems a logical career arc.
Yeah, and I think most of the nominees had fairly high foreheads, which is something we've been doing with our elves. I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but we keep picking people with big foreheads. So.
That's interesting. I don't think I'd noticed that, but I'm also not totally surprised by that.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole, what does it make to have someone look like an elf? Like, what does that mean? Right. And on film, I think it helps if they have the higher forehead.
Okay. Right. That's interesting, almost in a sociological experiment kind of way.
Yeah, what does that mean? I don't know.
Frankly, yeah.
Is that a physiognomy thing or?
Right.
Not how you say that.
Physiognomy? Yeah, sure.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Our nominees for Edrihill, the first of our younger elves. And so these are people that we wanted, although they're, doubtless centuries old, or at least a couple centuries old, because they were born in Beleriand, so they're still genuinely young, even from an Elvish perspective.
Right.
But
Right.
we were definitely looking for young, or at least very young looking male actors for these.
Correct.
They don't need to look like, children, but we definitely want them to look like almost college age, to basically pass for something like a human who would be like fresh out of college or something like that. Is the kind of
young adult is what we were
Yep.
looking for. Someone who has some innocence about them.
Okay. All right. And so our nominees were Dan Rowe, Dylan O'Brien, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Tom, how do you say that? Macho? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
I don't know.
He will have to forgive me. Okay. I don't know, unfortunately, Dan Rowe, who's on the top left there, or anything he's been in. Unfortunately. Nor Dylan O'Brien, who is, I think, which one is he? Is he
Bottom left.
bottom left? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dan Rowe was in a recent thing called Daisy and the Six, I think. It was like about music.
I saw that.
If you saw a
Wait,
trailer for it, maybe
I saw a trailer for it. Yeah.
he plays the younger version of one of the characters,
Right.
I believe.
Okay.
And then Dylan O'Brien is in Teen Wolf and in Maze Runner.
Okay. Okay.
I have to admit that his inclusion is solely because this character gets eaten by a werewolf.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, there's
that's literally the only reason he was suggested, was because we need someone to get eaten by a werewolf. Here's a guy on Teen Wolf. He can get eaten by a werewolf. So if you don't like him, just ignore him. Move on to the other two.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to, because I don't think I know these guys from any of the things that they've been in. So just looking, I'm just going to look at their faces and say who I think.
Taylor Johnson has played Quicksilver in
Marvel.
He was what's her name?
Wanda Maximoff's brother.
Twin brother.
Of course.
Yes. The one who dies in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
What? Gotcha. You didn't see that coming?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So I know one. Right. Yeah, I do remember him, of course. Right. Pietro Maximoff. Gotcha.
And one of these guys looks like he could play like a biopic version of younger Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that's Dylan O'Brien in the bottom left, right? Yeah. He could also take a stab at teenage like Robert Sean Leonard as well. But anyway, okay, so.
But which one's an elf? That's all you have to do. Pick an elf.
Which one's an elf? Okay. I'm gonna say, of the three, this is me making a judgment merely on their headshots here. I would go with Dan Rowe, top left. That would be my. I think it's a combination of the shape of his facial bones and how his ears stick out that make me think he would work. He barely needs prosthetics. I mean, like he's practically there.
Just a little pinch.
A little, yeah.
A little point.
Yeah, exactly. It would really be. I mean, yeah.
I mean, how dramatic is the point of ears on film is really an open question.
Oh yeah, let's not.
Well, I mean, I think you have to go to some extent. Like, there's, I mean, to some extent, it's mere cussed-mindedness to try to insist on something like elves don't have pointed ears, right? I mean, like, you can make the argument,
yes, that
Tolkien doesn't insist on it, and you can certainly make the argument that to Tolkien it's not important, it's not central, like it's not critical.
He spends a lot more time describing eyes,
so much
and
more.
hair, than mentioning the ears. That's true.
Yeah, you're right. It's not like they're Balrogs. It's true.
Yeah, precisely. That's just exactly it. So, but yeah, I mean, so
But
like
leaf-shaped
basically,
ears, I mean, what do you think a leaf looks like, right? Like there's got to
well,
be.
lots of things, but but like, I mean, I am going to Maplemoot this weekend, so some leaves
Yes.
are,
Oak leaves.
oak leaves. They
Yes,
could be
and
oak
how
leaves.
often does Tolkien describe beach leaves?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Just
I know. No,
mentioning
I'm not
that.
saying that they're not. I'm not saying,
Yeah.
but this is
Yeah.
the point, right? Like,
Yeah.
if somebody doing an adaptation were to say, you know what, screw it, Tolkien doesn't emphasize this. We're not having elves have pointy ears. We're gonna go against the whole pointy ear trend, and we're just gonna have our elves have normal ears like everybody else. That could be done. Like that would be a defensible adaptation choice to be made. But like you'd be doing so much hard work for what gain? Like what on earth is the point? Like why not have elves have pointy
Saving
ears?
money on prosthetics.
Okay. Fortunately, however, our budget is unbounded, so we don't have to worry about that.
Also, they're not that expensive.
They're not. Also, and also, just think you can convert unnecessarily large, floppy Hobbit feet into like 30 sets of elf ears. So, I mean, talk about economizing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can both economize and make hobbits not look stupid by not giving them huge, floppy feet, for which is a test that almost every single adaptation has failed. No, every single adaptation has failed. Peter Jackson, The Rings of Power failed this equally.
And I'm trying to remember the stage production, the Toronto and London musical.
The Toronto the musical. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember if they gave the hobbits floppy feet.
They're not floppy. I mean, they were walking around on stage, so it was very practical. They might have had
Yeah.
large shoes, but it was very
Right.
practical.
You
Whatever they
can
did.
make the case that at least slightly larger feet help
The proportion thing.
the proportion, help us like key into the scale a little bit better. But large heads are better for that, and I don't see them doing that. So.
No. Yeah, I would say that feet out of proportion with the rest of their bodies is not a big help, in my opinion. And it certainly isn't a big help to convey the thing that, is important for their characters, that they are deft in their movements, which it is awfully hard to be deft in your movements with those big floppy feet that they're always given in movies. Sorry, I digressed onto a pet peeve, which I totally shouldn't do. So,
pick an elf.
But I did. Danro is my pick. Let's see.
Right.
And I won. Oh, yes. Everybody agrees with me because he's got a really high forehead, Marie. So I think there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helps, right?
Yeah. Well, his forehead is really striking in this headshot here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he has fairly striking eyes too. So.
Yeah. No, and I mean back to the like actual serious contribution that you made to our prosthetics discussion just now and the elf ear discussion. You're absolutely right. Tolkien spends a great deal of time focusing on the eyes of elves. Like that's a frequently mentioned thing in their physical descriptions. And so actually color of eyes less often. He just will talk about how they're like shining and bright or sparkling. They're all kinds of luminescent sort of words. Yeah, piercing. Piercing. That's a common one. Anyway, so yes, having somebody whom you look at their face and you're just like, oh, those eyes, right? Like, doesn't mean they have to be blue, but yeah, Danro, you've got nice eyes. Congratulations, you get the part. You are Edrihill. And you get to be devoured by a wolf very quickly. But we will have enjoyed your work all the way up through and including that point. Okay. Enedrion, similar, same basic sort of category there.
Yeah, it's his younger brother.
Yeah, his younger brother. That's right. So supposed to be a sibling of the first one. We have Joseph Quinn. Tom Holland got nominated for this. Okay. Tom Holland, who's Spider-Man, of course, the recent Marvel Spider-Man. Spider-Man, what, Mark 3 or I think it's Mark 3. Anyway, whatever. Hang on, Adam Long. Who's that? I know him. I'm pretty sure I do. Okay. No, I don't. Okay. Maybe he just looks like somebody I know. Okay. And of course, right. I would have taken me a minute to place Joseph Quinn, Eddie from Stranger Things season 4.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That character snuck up on me as being awesome.
Oh man. The Master of Puppets scene on top of the trailer, just amazing. Actually helped me discover that entire album. For me, one of the enduring impacts of Stranger Things season 4 is my rediscovery of the fact over the last few months that like Metallica's first 3 albums were really mind-blowingly amazing. Like Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning. Holy cow, they are so good. Anyhow, so however, though I like him and I would love to come back with him, I don't think he would be my choice here. In fact, I have a hard time. I have a really hard time with this choice because especially the way that these have been sequenced, right? I mean, we just came from Ed Rehosu's brother, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at Dan Rowe with his soulful eyes and his high forehead and thinking who's going to be his brother, right? Adam Long is the one who looks least like him, right? Of these 3, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be hard. So I'd have to go with either Joseph Quinn or Tom Holland. Tom Holland seems like we should maybe save him for a more significant role than Enedrian, the elf.
He is a little short for an elf as well.
He is also a little short. Yeah. What's his height?
Oh, he's probably my height.
Yeah.
Oh, 5'6".
Yeah. Oh, he's shorter than me. Wow, I'm taller.
Yeah. I think he's 5'6.5".
5'6.5". I love that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
5'6.5". Yeah.
I mean, I'm a good 5'6 3/4". So there's no way.
I'm
going to give up that quarter inch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is. I mean, again, you can get around it, but it's unnecessary awkwardness too.
Now, as far as not looking like brothers, for TV, you almost never have to pick someone who really looks like a close family member. Right. And
in fact, you kind of prefer them to not be that close.
Yeah. And you can put wigs on them. So honestly, if you said you liked Adam Long for an elf better, I wouldn't worry about the fact that he doesn't look like his brother, because we could just give him identical wigs, so they can have the same hair on different faces, and it'll be fine.
And these guys are in like 2 total episodes, so maybe having them be more or less differentiated is not terrible.
Exactly, that's true. So I'm just saying for those purposes,
that's true.
Yeah, we're not looking for identical twins or anything here.
Joseph Quinn. Well, hang on a second. Let me. So, having immediately ruled out Adam Long, I'm now going to vote for him just because the other 2, I'm going to say both of them for other roles. Actually, so I think for that reason, I'm kind of having Adam Long back into this role essentially.
There's got to be a great human bard that we could give to Joseph Quinn.
Okay, so you know who I'm thinking of for Joseph Quinn? I'm thinking like Dorlas, or maybe even Brondir.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. I think he'd be. In fact, he could be a really good Brondir. I'm thinking, like the sort of sardonic, sort of sardonic, sort of self-loathing, but some sense of like dignity and gravitas,
and in contrast with Turin, that would all be pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, Tom Holland, I'm not sure, but I'm feeling human character for Tom Holland instead of.
Do you know who I'd love to see Tom Holland as? Prince Imrahil.
Ooh, that's really interesting.
He'll be old enough by then.
Yeah.
How old is Tom Holland now?
He's probably in his 20s.
Yeah,
late
27.
20s.
I mean, he's older than he looks, for sure.
He's older than he looks, yeah. So he's 27 now. In 10 years, he'll look in his 20s. So, yeah. So that's good. Prince Imrahil? Okay. Anyway, yeah. So, sorry, Steve. I'm killing Steve because I'm like, the reveal. Right. Okay. Sorry, Steve. Here you go. And yes! Oh, 2 for 2. Okay. Yeah, so I haven't looked. I literally don't know who is coming yet. I always try not
fair.
to look so that I don't know. Okay. All right. That's part of the fun. Okay, so it was tight. I think it looks like many people agreed that Tom Holland was probably that this was in the role for him. But yeah, let's come back to Joseph Quinn. I would want to. I'm gonna forget. So somebody out there make a note. I think Joseph Quinn would be a really great guy in Brethil during the Turin story. I'm seeing Brondir. I could see Dorlas. I could see Hunthor, but I would want him to play one of the more conflicted roles, like Dorlas or Brondir. I think that could be. I think it could really work. All right. And now, a new dwarf. So, the dwarves are going to have beards. The dwarves of Belagost have darker hair. The dwarves of Nogrod have fairer hair. They're called the Firebeards. Doesn't mean they all have to be redheads, but
a mix of redheads and blondes probably, and just lighter hair coloring, whether it's
lighter coloration,
light brown, blonde, or red. Yeah, instead of a darker.
What we're looking at is for the dwarves from whom Finrod is going to commission the Nauglamir, right?
Right. Yeah, we're looking at Xerac of Nogrod for this season. So he's the one who makes the Nauglamir.
Okay, great. So, Xerac. We have oh man, it's really hard not to be biased in favor of the best beard on the page, you know, like that's a seriously now again, you can always artificially augment the beard, but
right,
you know,
and for the dwarves we probably would intend to, because if you're going to have a fairly massive beard, that's probably not going to be natural.
Yeah. Now, the one of these that I think I know best, so is Alan Leach from Downton Abbey.
Sure.
The one on the right, the one who looks most clean cut and least dwarf-like in his headshot here.
Sorry, yeah.
It's
you
hard,
have to use your imagination in this one. That's why I'm like, they're gonna have beards, but here's what their face looks like.
Right. For that reason, it's a little harder, right? He's definitely has a disadvantage. He's the one who plays Branson. I'd forgotten the name. The chauffeur who marries the daughter. Okay. How about the other two? The guy on the left is John Holgenecker.
Sure.
Don't know him. I know Wyatt Russell.
Okay, so Wyatt Russell is the son of Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And
the guy at the bottom with the big beard is Kurt Russell's son?
Yes.
Yeah, and his mom's Goldie Hawn.
Right. And he is U.S. agent
in Marvel, yes.
The second Captain America.
Yeah.
Right. The like the replacement Captain America who gets brought in the series. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yes. The guy on the left is there were some Budweiser commercials a while ago where you had this guy dressed up as a king and people were coming to court
and
presenting.
the Bud Knight, right? Okay. No,
so he's the king in the Bud Light commercials.
The king in the Bud Light commercials.
I believe he's also done actual real acting roles, but if you don't know who he is, that's probably what you've seen him in.
No, yes, having watched a little bit of live football, I saw that commercial. So yes. Gotcha. Okay.
Wyatt Russell the Marvel show he was in. I've never seen somebody combine like subtle acting with scenery chewing at kind of the same time, which was really interesting. Like to play somebody that over the top in a way that came off really nuanced.
Right. Yeah. I did like his work in that series. I have to say, so I'll tell you what I'm focused on when I'm casting a dwarf. When I'm casting a dwarf, I'm looking at this, right? Because they're going to have a beard and it's probably going to be fake, right? And they're probably going to have a wig too, right? So it's really
probably
like
a forehead appliance.
Possibly.
Well, we don't necessarily want to go too overboard on the prosthetics because you can't act through full facial prosthetics very easily.
But it's primarily like the sort of eyes and nose that I'm kind of looking and kind of imagining in like dwarf setting. And as far as like the eyes, the Wyatt Russell's a little young. I mean, he looks young. His face looks. You'd almost have to age him, right? Because this character is
Gamel Xerox later.
Yeah.
In a few years, he's got to be an old dwarf.
Yes.
Yeah. I know, of course, we could age him significantly, but John Hoogenacker has like just the mere fact that he looks older. Him with some prosthetics and some I would say probably like silver hair already at this point, right? I mean, he's not going to be a young dwarf. He's not going to be an up and comer. This is going to be one of their great craftsmen, right?
But he's not Gamel Xerox yet, though.
No, he's not yet, right? He doesn't have to be. No, I'm saying silver, not white, right? I mean, he would be aged later on, but
right. So we're gonna kill him off in about 50 years. So if he's going to be an old dwarf...
Are we going to kill him off in Thinggold's basement in 50 years? Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
So basically, if a aged dwarf is 250... Like they die when they're 250, right? So an aged dwarf is getting up to 230, 240, somewhere in there. So if he's 50 years before that, he's like, 180 or whatever. Gimli in Lord of the Rings is 139.
Right.
So he's older than Gimli, but not by a lot.
Right. He's younger than
nimble at this age. Yeah.
Right. He's younger than Balin and Thorin in The Hobbit.
Right.
But but not that much. I mean, he's going to be more like.
But definitely older than Philly and Killy were.
Yeah. So
significantly older. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Might not be much. Might be around the same age as Glowin, possibly in The Hobbit. Somewhere in that ballpark. Like again, not Fili and Kili, but not Thorin and Balin either.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, but I think all things considered, I think I'm going with age here. Wyatt Russell would be interesting, and again, he might be somebody. I could see him. I could see him coming in Hodor's line at some point, possibly. But. He certainly has the look for the House of Hodor, if we want to go there at some point. Or, Rohan down the road or other similars. Wyatt Russell wins. That's okay. All right. I didn't get that one right. I don't think I'm prepared to veto it. I mean, like, he's got the facial hair and structure for dwarf. Like, that's totally fine.
But if you want someone older, you're allowed to choose. Like, it's up to you what you think.
Although I gotta say, I think the like narrow pointed chin, that actually works best for us for dwarfs after you put on the beard and makeup.
Right.
Because you're not building out of like for me that would be a problem, right? Like I'm already gonna said Joe.
Yes. You have a very round face.
Yes. Yeah, that's already gonna be a problem to start with.
Right. Right. Okay. Steve says that Russell was nominated for Umlach. Okay. All right. I was thinking that this image looked vaguely familiar, actually, when we turned. I didn't recognize the other one, the more fully bearded one.
Yeah.
But
I think that was more recent. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. That's fine. I'm not prepared to veto that. I think that he's fine. I think we could definitely make it work. Kind of wish I'd thought of the age a little bit more earlier on. I didn't think of that. I think when we were, I don't remember that coming up when we were talking about it before. Might have been better to give that as a parameter in retrospect, but it's fine. We can work with it. Okay. Of the humans already cast, we have Santiago Cabrera playing Barahir, Emily Swallow playing Emildir, and Marina Sirtis playing Andrath, which I still love. Like, there's nothing I don't love about that. This is excellent. This is excellent.
Yeah, and Emily Swallow is the Supernatural actress.
Right. Okay.
In this. Yeah.
Right.
So there was somebody from Supernatural in here.
Right. What do I know Santiago Cabrera from? I don't remember. He's not looking extremely familiar, but I feel like I should know him. He's in Picard. I haven't seen Picard. Yeah. I'm getting back to that.
The Three Musketeers?
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. All right. Okay. So the ones we're casting, of course. All right. New men to. Oh, look, we have a whole map. This is great. A whole genealogical map. So we have. Look at your key here. So born in Ladros. Okay. So the ones with the red diamond were born in Ladros.
Mm-hmm. And then the yellow diamond is born in Nargothrond.
The
point of showing you this is that the film genealogy is slightly different than Tolkien's. Right. We've compressed this part of the timeline, so it can get confusing as to how people are related. Right. So this is to point out that in our story, Beregund and Belegund are cousins to Barahir.
Right.
And therefore, for all three characters, Andreth is their aunt.
Right. Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, exactly. By the way, I just got to a couple weeks ago the passage in The War of the Jewels where Christopher was explaining about how Tolkien, who had a genealogy more like ours and then expanded it, right, because he decided that the arrival of humans in Beleriand needed to be a little bit earlier on. I think that was still when he was trying to sort out the age of Miglin, primarily, that he wanted trying to situate.
So he wanted to insert 200 years into the timeline,
right,
and therefore needed to add several generations of humans to make that work.
Exactly. It didn't impact the elves, except for giving Miglin time to grow up. It didn't impact the elves, but it impacted the humans. Yeah, I was just talking last week, I think, about how Tolkien's approach to the House of Hodor and the House of Beren, right? Like the House of Beren. So originally, Beren and Hodor were the two leaders of their families when they came across the mountains. Beren, he decided. Sorry, Beor is what I meant. Sorry, yeah, Beor and Hodor. Beor, he decides like Beor's still going to be the one who comes over the mountains, and I'm going to spread a couple of generations between him and Beren, basically. Make him a more remote ancestor of Beren. He was like originally his grandfather. I think it was
great grandfather, maybe, but
Barahir's.
But now he's 5 generations removed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he adds a bunch in there. Whereas with the House of Hodor, instead of putting more generations between Hodor and Húrin, he keeps them down and instead makes Hodor not the one who comes across the mountains and adds Malach and all the other ones that everybody always forgets about. So,
and then there's 2 Hodors, or something. Yeah, anyway, yeah,
it's kind of confusing, but it's interesting. I mean, so yeah, I was sitting there thinking about just remembering our discussions of human genealogies back in season 5, when we were sorting all this stuff out. So okay, anyway, right. So we've got Baragund, Belagund, Barahir, who are all the nephews of Andreth. And we've got Morrowind and Rion there. Okay. Yep. Good. Okay.
I got the wrong names.
Okay. So the ones we're casting. First, we have Baragund. So we're starting. These are, again, back to our genealogy here. These are, well, Baron's first cousins once removed, but they're his father's cousins. So Baragund is the father of I always screw up which one is Morwind's dad and which one is Rion's dad. I'm almost incapable of remembering that without looking it up. So
hence the family tree.
There's not a great mnemonic device that you can use either.
There's really not. At least nothing that I've ever been able to connect with. But anyhow, okay, right. So Baragund, this is Morwind's father.
Correct.
Okay, right. So, yes. So we have, this is Turin's grandfather that we are talking about here. This is Turin Turambar's maternal grandfather.
Correct.
And one of our outlaw band. Okay. But still, we did decide still relatively young, right? These were not aged people. This is
so
they're fairly young, and
they're older than Baron, but younger than Barahir. Barahir, thank you.
Yeah.
And Barahir is only 45 to 50 in our.
I think we had Bregolas, who was their father, being pretty significantly younger than Bregor, his older brother.
And Andreth, right? I mean,
Andreth,
there's a gap there.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you recall from last season, when Andreth was a young woman, Bregolas was a 14-year-old boy.
Was a kid. Yeah, that's what I was remembering.
He was the one. He was the hooligan.
Along with Singing Youth and
the
hooligan. Yes, he was the hooligan, and who was the one of the ones who was really kind of like growing up into the new things in Ladros when they got there.
Exactly. Yeah. And unlike Barahir, who was only 4 when they moved, so he completely grew up in Ladros.
Right. So he was not born there, but never really knew anything else. Right. Okay. All coming back to me. Okay. So Baragund, our two choices are Tim Ralzon and Manuel Garcia Rolfo. Okay. So let's see. Looking for my cheat sheet here. What do I know these from? I have not seen Schitt's Creek, though I've heard good things about it. And that's Tim Rozon, who's in that. Okay, and let's see. Manuel Garcia Rolfo.
The Lincoln Lawyer?
No, never saw that.
The Magnificent Seven. Oh, that's where I've. Oh, it's pretty good. As an adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation, it's pretty good.
Sure. Yeah. No, I hear that. Also, the kind of film my wife is less likely to be enthusiastic about watching. But okay. All right. So I don't think I have. So I've got nothing there. Well, one significant difference. Manuel Garcia Rolfo, who is the one on the right here, right, is 4 inches taller than Tim Ralzon. He's 6'3". Whoa, hang on. Sorry, accidental. Okay, well, here we go. I accidentally advanced, but there we are. Tim Ralzon wins. Okay. All right. I actually, this headshot, I like. That's good. That's good. I'm actually more fun. Sorry, I apologize for accidentally hitting the wrong button on my mouse there.
Sure, everybody's really upset about finding the results earlier.
Yeah, I know. Right, exactly. Steve is like, hooray, he couldn't torture me as long this time. He accidentally ended the torture. All right, Tim Rozon. Yeah, it was a close match. Both of them, I think, could do. I kind of like the sort of... he has more of a sort of rugged look. I'm liking the beard. I think he could do I think he could do his own beard in this role very easily. Okay. All right. Like it. Belagund, his brother. We've got Matt Long and Michael C. Fox are our two. Anybody have any commendations here? I don't think I know either one of these either. Wait, hang on a second. Michael C. Fox was in Downton Abbey. Okay. I don't remember him. Is he in later Downton Abbey? There came a point where my wife stopped watching Downton Abbey, so I'm weak on the later seasons of Downton Abbey. Okay. Aesthetically, I'd go with Matt Long. Would be my vote here. Just because I think his overall look is, again, not that it's crucial that he look exactly like his brother, but I think that would work. All right. Okay. Got another one right. Another close one. But I think that'll work.
It's close enough that if you vote differently, I think it flips it. So, like,
right. No worries.
Definitely don't feel like you have to get it right.
No problems. Okay, Gorlim the Unhappy. This is a big one. Possibly the most important casting, second most important casting of the Outlaws. Okay.
Yes, you had mentioned you wanted him to be young. So
yeah.
these are all actors in their 20s, I believe.
Okay. So we got Percy Hines White, who's from Wednesday, isn't he? Right? The Wednesday Addams show?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, right. Tony Revolori on the right is in the Spider-Man films. Okay. Relatively minor character, but... And then Rhys Matthew Bond. Don't remember him, though. His name sounds vaguely familiar. Like maybe he was nominated before. I'm not sure. Larry, I agree. Rhys Matthew Bond in the middle does look extremely happy, which almost makes me tempted to vote for him out of perversity.
I can find a different headshot. I'm sorry. It did occur to me that using the smiling face for Gorlim the Unhappy was maybe the wrong headshot to put in. I'm sorry.
No, it's kind of adorable, actually. You know, I mean, you would want somebody who could look happy, but we never meet him when he's happy, right? So,
right.
I mean, we meet Gorlim in a definitely post-happy state. Rhys Matthew Bond was nominated for Miglin too. Okay, I thought I recognized the name. Like Rhys Matthew Bond is a fairly,
I just couldn't remember. Sorry.
Fairly conspicuous. Yeah, Steve says he's nominated for Miglin. Well, this is like people who didn't get Miglin all get a second shot here in this season. Okay, I think I would go. It's a little tempting to choose Rhys Matthew Bond just for the perversity of that. Like, I mean, apart from the smiling shot, I'm sure he could look soulful and brooding if he wanted to, but I think that he couldn't. Well, it'd be hard to make him not look fresh-faced and cute, which could work for Gorlim, but you know, would be a little bit jarring. I think the Percy Hines White nomination is my favorite. I think I would. I think I would go with him. I think he has an interesting face. Definitely does brooding well. He did a lot of brooding in Wednesday.
I can see him like going into kind of that like unrestrained rage.
Yep. That hit. So that would be my vote. But it's not a strong vote. Let's see. Oh, Reese Matthew Bond wins. Okay. All right. No, like I said, I think it could work. You know, the sort of like schoolboy gone bad and dark kind of look, you know, is we could make him into a symbol of like you know, the lost innocence of Ladros and, you know, Dorthonion in general. You know, I mean, definitely looks to me like he should be playing somebody in a high school based drama, basically. You know, I mean, he has that look. Like he could have easily had circumstances worked out otherwise, been cast in Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in the day, you know, that kind of thing.
He doesn't look completely unlike Xander. You're right.
Yes. But anyway, so I it could work. It wouldn't have been my concept, right? But I think we can definitely work with it. I see personally why it was a close second. But that's fine. That's fine. We can work with it. We can work with it. I try not to.
You haven't vetoed anybody.
I know.
So
far. I don't like to use vetoes unless like I have really strong feelings about. Like, basically, in order to veto it, I have to be looking at it and say no. Like just like no, that's not like a, you know, not like that wasn't what I was thinking, but like
that just doesn't work for you.
Yeah, it goes in the opposite direction of what I was thinking. So no, it's again, the fun thing is to try to imagine, because you know, with things like this, like I would think that the whole way that you would try to capture the situation, you know, like sort of the emotional and background circumstances of Gorlim would be really impacted by whom you cast and sort of how they looked and what they could do best. So yeah, okay, all right, I'm down with it. Okay, Lionel, who does not actually appear in the show, but whose likeness appears in the show, and so therefore we are casting the likeness of Lionel, which is a pretty deep cut, I have to say. But
I mean, there's plenty of situations where a person is cast to be like a video recording of the person. Sure. You know, like it's not unlike that.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
So it is admittedly a minor role.
Yeah. That's certainly true. Okay. Let's see. So we have Ella Purnell, Olivia Rodrigo, and Bailey Madison.
Yes. Again, you requested young actresses.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have an extensive resume at this point in their careers, but some of them have done some impressive things considering how young they are.
Right. Okay. I am going to say my vote, and this based almost entirely, because I'm looking at what they've been in and I'm not seeing anything I recognize. So I'm going to go with, especially now that we've cast Gorlim, I would go with Bailey Madison, just because she
matches.
She looks cutest and most vulnerable, right? That's kind of the look that I would want, right? Like when you see the likeness of Lionel in the cottage, it should induce you to be like, I want to swoop in and rescue innocent little her. Like that should be the impulse that is evoked. And you know, when I look at these three women and say which one screams most clearly like I am sweet and innocent, come rescue me, Bailey Madison is the one who hits me that way most strongly. Any of them could certainly work. I do not anticipate a veto on this one either. But that would be my personal vote. Okay, this was really close. Except
So it
nobody
turns
voted
out-
for my character. Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
I'm the only
It
one who
turns
thinks
out
that. Okay.
that people were going for she's going to be the villain, and so the sweet little Billy Madison was too cute to be
Too cute
and
to
sweet
be
and vulnerable to be Thurin Gwethel in some people's mind. I think is my guess as to why it went this way.
Didn't we already cast Thurin Gwethel?
We did.
Yes, yeah.
And
yeah.
she is later she's unfortunately on a later slide.
Okay.
So you'd have to
no
reveal somebody to
I'd
go
have to
to it, so
reveal
don't
stuff
do
from the
that.
past.
I can find out who it is because I can scroll down because nobody's
Well,
watching
Steve says
mine.
Carrie Mulligan.
It is Carrie
yeah,
Mulligan.
Carrie
Mulligan.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. So it's fine. Again, as I say, I have no objection to any of them. I would vote for differentiation from Thorin Gwethel. Like, you know,
Right. The whole point
Yeah.
is to have someone appear different.
Yeah.
right.
I think I did not vote for Bailey Madison. I think she just came across as too childlike to me.
Right.
Like I have trouble reading her face as like that of an adult
Sure.
person. No offense to Miss
Fair.
Bailey Madison, who I'm sure is a lovely person, right?
Right.
Right. The other benefit of Olivia Rodrigo is that
23,
she has
by
a
the way.
verified
But
yes
Yeah.
she has a verified Twitter account, so I can actually
Notify her of her.
Yes.
Of her.
Yes.
Exciting appointment. Yes. Okay.
But so you're good with this. It's like again, this was very
Sure.
close, and it
Sure.
could have gone any
It's fine.
direction.
It's fine.
All right.
Totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 But sure. It's fine. It's fine. I'm okay with it. I would still want to not dress her like that, however.
Oh no. Yeah, of course.
But I mean the extreme opposite of like that.
Yes.
Maybe a little cloth cap. Maybe
yes. I'm sure she'll be thrilled.
Yeah. No, I mean, like again, she should look like this
Cute, vulnerable
adorable,
little
cute,
girl.
like young bride, right? I like, that's yes, the adorable young bride of our adorable young husband. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that was I scored lower on that prediction than on any other I've done so far. So that was,
I just thought, listening to you talk, I'm like, I knew that no one had selected her, and I'm like,
it's a little
I see where you're
disappointing.
coming from, but you're going to be real surprised when you see
It's
these
okay.
results.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm not going to get all upset about the likeness of Lionel, so that's okay.
Okay.
But, one of these days, Olivia Rodrigo will probably look back and hopefully thank us for her big break. Okay. Now
I don't think she
She
needs
was
a
on
big break.
High School Musical. I think she'll just okay.
She's performed on stage with a lot of really famous musicians and won a lot of awards. So I
and think
she's
how
good.
impressed they'll be that she was cast in Silfilm now. I
It's
mean,
true.
Right.
It's true.
Right. It's exciting, but at the same time,
she'll be opening.
good.
Well, no, I mean, I don't mean when I say her big break, I mean like to go from big to huge, which is what we do apparently to
Huge
actors
break.
at Silfilm. Yeah, huge break. A huge break.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
You're not. I mean, sure, you're famous, but are you yet a household name? Well, probably not until you've been cast on Silfilm. So
It's true.
I see.
How can you say someone is great who's never had their picture on bubblegum cards?
Exactly. Okay. All right. So now we come to Baron. We have 5 Baron candidates. All right. We've got David Alvarez, Anthony Ramos, Lorenzo Riquelme. I'm not sure how to pronounce his
He's
last name.
Italian, if that helps.
Okay. I'm not sure it does. Other than to let me know.
It hardens the CH at least.
Yeah, well, it does make me a little more confident about the hard CH I gave him, I suppose. I was going to say it primarily just helps me to understand whom precisely I'm offending by mispronouncing it. And Emilio Sacraia and Richard Madden. Okay. All right.
And the pictures just go counterclockwise for this one.
Okay.
If that helps.
Counterclockwise. Great. Yes. Yes. Okay. So, right. So David Alvarez is Rob Stark. Is that Rob Stark? Which one is
No,
it?
Richard Madden is Rob Stark.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Richard Madden is Rob Stark.
Top left is
David Alvarez, and then Richard Madden
top right is So it
gotcha.
Counterclockwise. Did I say counterclockwise?
Yeah,
You did.
it is counterclockwise, but because of the mirroring of your camera, you gesticulated in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Right. It's complicated. Okay.
Sorry.
Yep. Gotcha.
That's why I mirror my camera so that doesn't happen to me anymore.
Right. Right.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay. All right. So I thought I recognized Emilio Sacraia.
Yeah.
Because I did watch Warrior Nun, of course.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well done.
Yeah.
I was like, really? You recognized that one?
Totally watched season 1 of Warrior Nun.
Yeah, so that's JC.
Yeah. Okay, I don't. Okay. And then we have Lorenzo Riquelme, who's the one in the bottom middle here. He was in Marco Polo. I didn't see that.
Right.
Okay. All right. He plays Marco Polo?
Yes, he is Marco Polo in Marco Polo.
The titular character.
Yeah, he's done also a bunch of Italian films, but you're probably less likely to have seen those.
Right. Right.
You know who Rob Stark is, so.
I know who Rob Stark is. Yeah.
And
the
David
other two
Alvarez, doesn't he play Enjolras in something? Or
no,
am I misremembering?
Well, I don't know if he does that, but this photo is from West Side Story.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so he's in musical stuff.
Who? Ramos?
Yeah.
Dave. Oh, Anthony Ramos.
David.
Yeah, he's in Hamilton. He plays Hamilton's son and his best friend.
Okay.
In the two separate acts of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's also in the Heights, the other Lin-Manuel Miranda musical / movie.
Gotcha.
But so those two guys are definitely musical background, as is Sacraia is a German singer, as well as being the actor. And then I believe the other two have at least done singing parts in movies, at some point.
Okay. We did say we wanted Baron to be able to sing and dance.
He does more singing and dancing than fighting. Like in most of the other outlaw roles, it's like they got to be in a fight scene. They got to get eaten by a werewolf, that kind of thing.
Right.
But for him, it's like he has to be able to dance with Luthien. He doesn't really have to be able to fight.
No.
He kills a spider. He does a few things.
Yeah.
Wrestles with Curafin. He does a few little fight scenes.
Right.
Kills an orc or two.
Or 20.
Just some orcs. He kills a few orcs. But so he's in fight scenes, but we wanted to make sure he could sing and dance as well.
Oh, he was Bernardo. Yes. Okay. All right. Alvarez.
In West Side Story.
That is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My number one choice, I think, would be David Alvarez. That would be my number one choice. He probably wouldn't thank me for my number one reason, which is that he has in my opinion, the least pretty face of this group.
I knew that was going to come up in this because as we were coming up with the nominees, I kept being like, here's a guy who's like pretty and could be the love interest, and other people are like, here's a guy who's not. And it was very funny to me how that dynamic was playing out. And
Yeah.
I agree with you that Baron doesn't need to
He
be
doesn't need to be pretty.
particularly pretty.
He's also, I think, with the exception maybe of Richard Madden, but I think even in that case, I think he's the most athletic of the, like, as far as the what I've seen from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because the dance scenes in West Side Story are serious.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah. No, I like somebody who has like an excellent dance background would be excellent. Like
especially
exactly
dance
the kind
fighting,
of athleticism that you would want. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So like Lorenzo Riquelme is to me the prettiest face of these five. You know,
he looks like he's trying to seduce Luthien in that photo, actually.
Right. Well,
that is definitely the look he would give the most beautiful woman that ever existed.
Right. Whereas Anthony Ramos's face does not look like he's looking at the most beautiful woman that he's ever. That is not the image I think of.
He's maybe going to start a fight in that one.
Right.
But...
Yeah. Exactly. It's a yes. His caption is a little bit more. What did you say to me? Than it is. But anyway, I'm not 100% sure why it is. I remember talking about this. It's coming back to me. I don't. It's not that I want Baron to, look repulsive, right? I mean, he doesn't have to look like a troll. But,
Hollywood homely was what
Hollywood
we went
homely.
with.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I understood the assignment.
It's just hard to follow.
Yeah, well, because how do you pick someone and be like, you're homely enough for this character?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it's not like David Alvarez is genuinely homely, right?
No.
I mean, he's not. And I think, and like my second choice would probably be Anthony Ramos or Richard Madden, again, just facially, right?
Of the group, I would say that David Alvarez and Richard Madden are the two that look most like they can take care of themselves, which is definitely a feeling we want from Baron.
Right.
Right. Because we don't want to. We definitely don't, like, everybody keeps talking about how Baron keeps losing every fight he gets into, but we don't want to be giving that impression just from his own physique.
Right.
Right, because he does live on his own and more or less succeed in not dying to a point. Yeah.
The other thing is Anthony Ramos is 5'7", whereas David Alvarez is 6 feet.
Right.
So, and 6 feet is a really comfortable height for Baron. Definitely not short, not toweringly tall, shorter than many of the elves, but yeah, I agree. He looks like somebody who could definitely be, I like your phrase, Nick, that he could take care of himself, right? You want to look at him and be like, yeah, this guy solo in the wilderness, he'd be fine, right? Doesn't have to look like a tank, right? Doesn't have to, look intimidating necessarily. Okay, I just figured out one of the main reasons why I don't want him to be too pretty is that I think one of the things I am resistant to the idea that when Luthien turns to look at him, there's a sense that she's doing it because he's so pretty, right? Like the motivation behind her turning to him. I mean, look, he has no chance, right? I mean, it's Luthien, right? So he is going to be struck by her because everybody is struck by her. Everyone who ever was struck by her. So that's not an issue. But what is it that she sees in him, right? And I feel like if viewers looking at it, right, if Baron is someone who looks like, people in the audience are like, oh, he's so dreamy, I would turn to him too. I feel like it undermines the
Right.
significance of what she does. If you do you see what I mean by that?
Yeah. Part of his story is he should be an everyman character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he shouldn't stand out as being particularly pretty. He should be everyman. And that means that, yeah, we want someone that the male members of the audience can identify with and be like, it's me.
Right. Right.
Which is harder to do if he's real pretty.
Right. And I wouldn't want I mean I would feel like we had somehow messed up the casting if like a whole generation of teenage girls grow up with posters of Baron on their walls, right? I would feel like we did something wrong, if we did it that way, right? If he becomes Orlando Bloom, we've done it wrong, right?
So you got to make sure he's Vigo, not Orlando.
Right, exactly. Now,
obviously, nothing wrong with what Vigo looks like.
Absolutely, right? No criticism, but a different appeals to a different crowd in a different way, right? And that's exactly it. Anyway, so yes. Whereas like whoever we cast to be Turin, he's the one that like we want people to have a really like complex and fraught infatuation with.
Yeah.
He needs to be gorgeous.
He needs to be gorgeous. He's got to be like an Adonais character because he also has to look like he can take care of himself.
He has to look like he can take care of himself, but be gorgeous. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Not just ruggedly handsome, but gorgeous. But anyway, that's a 2 seasons from that's a season 8 problem, not a season 6 problem. Okay. The suspense, the big casting decision of the entirety of season 6. The winner is Lorenzo Riquelme. You've got to be kidding me. Oh man.
However, look how close it is.
Yeah.
And look how evenly divided it was.
Yeah.
Like this is not a landslide.
Who got no love? Anthony Ramos got no love.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tough but fair. Okay. Okay. And my man David Alvarez came in second.
This is and quite close.
Quite close.
Less than 10 percentage points.
I think, like I have nothing against Lorenzo Riquelme apart from the fact that he is so beautiful, and I like it's a hard reason to turn him down. It really is.
But I see where you're coming from. Yes. I believe it was Hakan who had originally suggested him based on his role in Marco Polo.
Sure. Sure.
And there
and
was
it's hard because maybe I would feel differently if I'd watched Marco Polo. I might have.
There's a little bit of ruggedness in that, but he is a very young character in that, like discovering the world kind of thing.
Right.
And there are love scenes in that. He has love interests and takes his shirt off and such. So yeah.
Yeah.
If that's not what you're looking for in Baron, then that's not what you're looking for.
No, I mean, there's other opportunities for this kind of thing, but yeah, I don't want somebody who screams love interest. Right. I more like Vigo than Orlando is precisely the kind of thing that I'm looking for in Baron. Not somebody that you're like, oh, gee, I hope he takes his shirt off. Right? Like that's not the thing, but yeah.
Because I know that's how you watch movies, right? You're definitely
Naturally.
Just waiting for the guys to take their shirts
Naturally.
off.
Yes. No.
But yeah, and I know that's what you're asking here, is that it's not somebody whose main in your face first impression is very attractive or dreamy.
Yeah. So I think I would throw my vote behind David Alvarez, and it is very close. So maybe I would veto this one, which is not a big veto, more like me casting a vote than it is like me doing a veto, really.
Honestly, yes, I think your vote ties it. So
right. So let's go with Anthony Ramos. I think that would be. I like that idea.
Anthony Ramos.
Anthony Ramos.
No, you mean David Alvarez.
I mean David Alvarez. That's precisely what I mean.
Yeah, you mean the one?
The one who got no votes? One? Yes. Yeah. No. David Alvarez is what I meant. So I was just looking at the wrong name on the list.
You're fine.
David Alvarez. Yeah. David Alvarez is exactly what I mean. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Besides, I really like the dancing and singing background. Like the ones with musical theater who were primarily musical theater kind of have a leg up in my mind to begin with, right?
Sure.
So, David Alvarez. Let's do it. Okay. Next. All right. Villains already cast. Here's our Thorin Gwethel. So we have cast Michael Fassbender as Morgoth, Simon Woods as Sauron, and Carey Mulligan as Thorin Gwethel. Golly, I'm forgetting. What do I know Carey Mulligan from? Not sure. Don't go.
Most recently, I think she was in something where she had a multicolored wig and was dressed as a nurse. So I don't know what that was, though.
Steve, Northanger Abbey. That's exactly it.
That's what you know her from. Very good.
She in Jane Austen. She was Isabella Thorpe. Gotcha. Right. Yep. Yeah. Right. Of course. And right. That Isabella Thorpe. Right. The one who was from the Doctor Who Blink episode. Right. Yep. Gotcha. There is something delightful about having someone with a face as cute as Carey Mulligan's is being Thorin Gwethel. There's something I kind of love about that, actually. Okay, and then we've cast Jeff Goldblum as the voice of Glaurung, and just that's fun. I would love to tell Jeff Goldblum about that casting. He would be so delighted.
One whole line he had in season 5. Yeah.
But Glaurung's going to keep talking.
I know.
He's gonna have plenty of good lines.
That's when we cast him, though.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm also pretty sure that if you give Jeff Goldblum lines, he just starts talking. So, good luck wrangling him into actually saying the dialogue you want.
Fortunately, he's a completely animated character, so we don't have to worry about it too much.
Easier to cut out the lines that you don't want, is what you're saying? Right. Yeah, because he's just in the sound booth. Okay. All right. So these are our current villains. We are, and because we're not casting we don't have any other villains to cast. We do. Oh, yes, we do.
We have one more.
Of course we do. Of course we do. And we're killing off folks. We're killing off 2 out of our 5 in this, and then kicking the other one out. Okay. Other new characters. We have Gorgol the Butcher. Right. Okay, so of all the nominations that have been made so far, Bill Burr. Really?
I think it's brilliant.
This is so far out of context for him that I stared at his picture for like 30 seconds before I even processed who that was. Right? I'm like, who's that guy? I swear I know him from somewhere.
Yeah. So you'll notice.
But he picks up a lot of rules like that, actually.
Right.
But you'll notice that we didn't really have any description for Gorgol other than, he's an orc.
Right.
So it turns out you can put an orc costume on pretty much anybody. Right. And we ran with it. So this is an eclectic nomination pool.
Right. Okay.
Frank Grillo, is he Crossbones?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
He's also in the Purge movies.
Yeah. Which is probably what that image is from.
No, it's from something else.
Okay.
That image, I don't remember what that one's from.
Right. Was it The Mandalorian Bill Burr was in?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Whoa, Ray Park played Darth Maul?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a good pedigree.
That's the guy in the bottom left, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
But I feel like I'd want to use him for somebody who was going to be in more fight scenes, whereas Gorgol's in like 3.
Right. Yeah, it's going to require rather less talent than
Yes.
Yeah, we're not looking for extensive martial arts for this
Yeah,
character, but there are multiple fight scenes.
Oh, he was also Toad
Yes.
in X-Men.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Wait, who?
But-
This is
Ray Park.
Ray
was
Park?
Toad.
Yeah.
Was
Okay.
Toad in X-Men? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the Headless Horseman. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the idea is that we want somebody who's able to do a physically demanding role while wearing a full suit of orc prosthetics and armor and such.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody here has some kind of experience with
But also
more physical
like,
scenes.
keep in mind though that like you could also have somebody come in to do the acting and the dialogue and have a different person in the same suit. Right.
Yes, of course you can. But if we're picking someone for the role, picking someone who can
Like,
do the role is good.
Famously, Bob Anderson is in the suit, the Darth Vader suit, fighting
Yes.
Right.
Alec Guinness.
Right.
And yeah, he did not in fact play Darth Vader at any point.
Right. Okay. All right. And then I don't think I know Matt Letcher.
That's the bottom right.
Yeah, it's the bottom right. I don't think I know him. And then Rachel House was in Ragnarok, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, she was the like lieutenant of
bodyguard. Yeah.
Bodyguard. Second
For the
in command of
Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Bill Burr is like the embodiment of snark, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like pretty much the avatar of snark.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure the avatar of snark is what we're necessarily looking for in Gorgol, but you know,
He calls Sauron to his face in season 5.
And he is all proud of himself for stealing Barahir's hand with the ring on it. So, like, there's a little bit of bragging and blustering and posturing to his character, at least a little bit.
okay.
I can acknowledge your point that maybe not the pinnacle of all those things, but
right.
it's there.
Mm.
Yeah. Steve, I hear you. I actually watched the original X-Men relatively recently, within the last couple of years. So I remember Toad and Toad's lines in that production, so I can see that. I think I would go with Ray Park. I think that would be my top vote, but I could be talked into others. So Bill Burr, if we were to cast Bill Burr, we would have to cast him, I think, as someone a little bit more actively annoying. Right?
Okay.
Who's more annoying
Than an orc?
Yeah.
Orcs aren't annoying. Gorgol the
Right,
Butcher
so
shouldn't be like annoying.
you went like
or irritating.
Master of Lake Town kind of annoying?
More
or...
like that. Yeah.
Oh, he's too like.
No, not like Peter Jackson's Master of Lake Town kind of annoying.
Okay. All right. So in Gondolin, what's his face? Salgent. He's not really an annoying character, though.
No. I'm thinking of I'm trying to think
There's
of
certainly Hobbit characters that will qualify, but I guarantee you there's absolutely a 0% chance you get Bill Burr to come in and be a Hobbit.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know the guy, so.
I just like it took him a bit to wrap his head around the idea that he was going to be in a Star Wars property.
I see.
Hang on a second. Steve has the perfect suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Andron from the Turin story. The
Ooh.
annoying jerk among the outlaws who wants to kill Beleg and is really upset that they don't kill Beleg. Perfect.
Because when you said an annoying jerk character, I'm like, who's an annoying jerk? That's who is an annoying jerk. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's upset that he doesn't get to rape the women. Yeah. No. Yeah. Bill Burr. I'd be a great Androck. He'd be a great Androck.
Yikes.
Yeah. I could see it. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. But I agree with Larry on YouTube. Having an orc be be buffoonish. Not that Bill Burr's only a buffoon, but imagining Bill Burr's voice coming out of an orc's body says buffoon to me. Like it would be
because he's got kind of that higher pitched.
Yes, he's got that higher pitched kind of whining, annoying voice, right? You know, he's, I mean, his voice is not euphonic. I mean, it works for him as a comedian, right? I mean, but yeah, Androg. Let me preemptively nominate. Well, we're just casting all of season 8 tonight. We've got this taken care of. You know. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, and the Boston accent too. No, I was thinking of that as well. I mean, he might be able to change the Boston accent, but I don't know if he could. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it'd be fine. Okay, I knew he was going to win, though. Yeah. I knew he was going to win as soon as I saw the page because I'm like, that's too, like, it really stands out. Ray Park does come in second, but it's a much more distant one.
So I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
Of all the roles that we could get Bill Burr to do, like, this would be, like, just this really, like, quick... You know, he comes in, he says some really obnoxious stuff and leaves, and that's it. And I'm telling you.
Can he change the accent? Because, like, his accent is very distinctive.
Yes.
I mean, I say that as a local.
You assume there would be some dialogue coaching going on for a show like this.
Oh, sure.
And we've definitely been casting a mix of British actors and American actors with the understanding that somehow we're going to make them all sound appropriate to their role.
Right. Which makes me want to come back and say that can Bill Burr do another accent?
Now, and that's the thing is, that being said, we're talking about Jeff Goldblum as the voice of Glaurung the Dragon. Jeff Goldblum is going to sound like Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
In that role. Like there's no expectation that he's going to sound somehow drastically different.
Right.
And so if the tone of his voice is too jarring, then maybe this doesn't work. I mean, I don't know.
It would be funny. I mean, it would be funny as long as we're okay with that. Like that's the thing, you know.
This is the guy who kills Bear here. So Baron has to murder him in revenge. Like we don't want him to be funny all the time.
No.
Yeah.
No,
like he's allowed to be funny. He can be funny
when he acts, though. He does not typically play comedic roles,
right? Which most comedians who do acting roles don't. Yeah. I
mean, he gets off one-liners and stuff like that, but that's his primary role. Now, of course, I did a quick Google search to see if there's ever been any recordings of him without his avoiding his accent. Right. And of course all of the articles are about how he's like his response to people giving him a hard time about his accent in The Mandalorian, and he's basically telling them to go take a long walk off a short pier,
right,
which is very on brand.
Yes. But at the same time it does raise the question of would that fit? So I do hear that as an objection.
Yeah, it was, and you know, I don't know, and perhaps in some ways I'm oversensitive because
You like
live
you're local
in New England, and I like his accent sounds a lot like many people I know.
I'm from New York, and it's not that different.
Yeah. So it's and so I mean, to me it would seem very jarring to hear his accent coming out of an orc. Can he fight? Steve wants to know. Again,
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, because again, all we need is a good stuntman who can.
He did, like, there were fight scenes with him in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And most of it was gunplay, obviously, but like he can make it look like he's fighting.
Right. Yeah. And again, somebody who's playing an orc is going to be in so much prosthetics that it's not going to be hard to have a stunt double. And it's not even like we're going to have long, like martial arts sequences with Gorgol the Butcher either. I mean,
there's a few battle scenes that he's involved in, and then when he kills Barahir, it's kind of a one-on-one duel situation.
He was the one who was trapping Finrod in the fens in last season, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Right, Nick?
I think
he's the one.
I'm sorry.
He's the Gorgol the Butcher is with
who...
Sauron and Finrod in the Fens of Sarek.
Yes.
Okay.
Fens, yes.
And then we sent Drugluin over to the other front, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay. I thought that's how they're divided.
Yeah, that's the scene where he calls Sauron to his face.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, I don't think I'm prepared to veto Bill Burr. I mean, it's
I cannot wait to click go on this tweet. I'm here to tell you.
No,
I can just see him.
Go ahead and let him know. Let's break the news to Bill Burr that he's been cast.
He's gonna be so confused.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, and for those people listening, we actually do this. Like, we actually tweet to the actors who get appointed to roles and notify them that this happened. So,
we've had one of them respond. We have had one.
Yeah.
Yes, Holiday Granger, who was cast as the Otterwin in season 2, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There we go. Yeah. And then there are those whose careers have been so enriched and they don't even realize it. So
it's true.
Yeah. It's okay. They'll thank us someday. All right. Let's keep going. All right. Who on the Hound? All right. Who on the Hound? This is huge. This has more nominees than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the highest amount of nominees, I think, in film history.
Yeah.
Luthien was more, but yes.
Okay,
it's a lot.
For similar weight, I think, yeah.
Yeah. I believe there were 9 nominees for Luthien.
I mean, one cannot help but notice that there are more than twice as many nominees as Huon has lines.
Right.
Right. But it's good. It's good. Wow. Okay. So I'm trying to see which ones I know. Because I'd have to know their
voices.
Voices. Yeah.
It's a little tricky, and I'm not sure that I have anything queued up to play.
Okay, so Ingrid
from everybody
is Jorah Mormont in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You've probably heard Brian Blessed's voice before.
I certainly have heard Brian Blessed's voice before. Yeah. I mean, Brian Blessed has one of those voices that I could have heard, across the ocean without amplification. He has got one of the biggest voices I know. Mm-hmm. Wonderful actor. There's something a little bit delightful about that. Oh man, Logan Cunningham
Hmm.
is in the video game Hades.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay.
As Hades,
As Hades.
I
He's the
believe.
voice of Hades in Hades.
I believe
Okay.
so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I have not played this myself though. My son has, and I've heard much about it. I've actually heard a bunch of the soundtrack of Hades, but I have not played the game.
Yeah. So he does have a deeper voice,
Oh wait,
if
however,
that helps.
okay. Looking at his headshot, I'm wondering if I met him, but no, I don't think so. There was I was at a
Zenkai Con, right?
Yeah, exactly. At Zenkai Con, there were a bunch of voice actors who were there, including the voice actress for blanking on the name, the Darth Ventress, yes, Ventress. The voice actress for Ventress was there, which was fun. She was one of the only like voice actors that I knew, like, you know, stuff that she'd done, because most of them were anime ones. Okay, Brian Blessed, yeah, I mean, goodness, absolutely. I don't know Chris Obi. He was in
American
Gods, but I don't
Snow White,
remember him from
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah,
I believe in American Gods he was playing a death character. I forget what the name was of the character, but it was like, you know, someone was dead and went and talked to him, kind of thing. So again,
doesn't actually narrow it down significantly in that book, but I hear you. Yeah.
Sorry,
no,
I did not read the book or watch the show, so I saw
I actually
a clip.
just reread that book about 6 months ago. So
Okay, I saw a clip with him in it to hear his voice,
Yep.
and so, you know, he has a nice delivery and everything, but I can't help you if you haven't heard it.
Yeah. And Alan Sisto, of course, who needs no introduction.
I think you might know who he is. Yeah,
I do. This is that makes one of the few actors nominated for some film that I know personally, and who will almost certainly respond to our tweet for we to tweet at him. I'm shocked though. Nick, where's your nomination?
That he is my nomination.
Oh, Alan Sisto is your nomination?
Oh, no. I'm saving Jim Cummings for something else.
Okay.
Something else.
You're saving Jim Cummings for something else. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Fine. Okay. I have to rule out. I don't think I could handle Brian Blessed as who.
okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. His voice is too distinctive.
Yes.
And
That's fair.
like I would just be, and also I could not help but picture Brian Blessed's face. You know, like that huge face and huge beard and you know, it's like the whole thing, right? It's yeah.
It's too bad he's probably too old to play Helm Hammerhand when we get to him.
Oh man. He would be a fun Helm Hammerhand.
Oh yeah.
He's short is the problem. I mean, he's like,
yeah, but just don't just put him on a box. It's fine. Like he plays enormous people all the time. He does play
enormous. I mean, everything about him is enormous except his height, right? But
yes.
But yeah.
Well, we did cast him as a dwarf in some film back in season 3.
Yeah.
So the reason he's eligible for a double casting is because this is a voice only role.
It's a voice. Yeah. It's a voice only role. Right. Yeah. Yes, and a dwarf role is really excellent for him. But yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, who wins? Alan Sisto. Okay. Well, well deserved.
Who has voiced Huan before?
Has experience
I
the
would
role?
say is probably the only person ever nominated for some film who could actually wind up
Right. Who would actually do it? Yeah. Right. Right.
if we
Um,
were if we were making the show.
I will point out that Clary Olson has an IMDb page.
That's
So
true.
should anybody
That's
wish
true.
to nominate you
That's
to
true.
play any
That's true.
character,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
always an option.
I would enjoy having a role. I haven't found the perfect role for me yet. It would be some kind of minor role. Maybe there's one of the Haladin for me in the Tuor story. I don't know, but
Josh, my neighbor, says that he's probably already recorded all 3 lines, which he has.
he
In
has.
fact,
So he certainly has.
If
Yeah.
I were to start like animating the Baron and Luthien story, I could just grab the lines that he's already created and just drop them in there.
Absolutely.
Done.
Yeah. Not only the only actor who would play the role, but the only one who has already played the role.
So is this typecasting?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we should tell Alan that he's typecast as a wolfhound, but but yeah, no, I think this is very exciting.
I'm going to pull the trigger on this one. Boom.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, that was the final role for this
And you're right,
season.
Josh. I did have my moment of glory actually.
Yes.
Playing Huon on the stage last year at Mythmoot. So
yes, silently.
Yeah, I didn't get any lines. But that's what made the casting so perfect. I did try to look soulful and disapproving at various points. So, yeah. Oh man. Okay. Whew. All right. So, good stuff. Thanks everybody for joining us. This was a lot of fun as always. I will let you guys know if we can we'll see if the actors can send us clips of their acceptance speeches, so we can start that going. But anyway, as always, this is a great deal of fun. So next time, our next session is going to be Thursday, June 1st. So that's 2 weeks, in fact, from today. So back in 2 weeks. And we're going to be talking about episode 12. It is time to kill off more people. In fact, really the majority of our major characters are going to die in the next episode, right?
Both Baron and Huan are going to have dismal ends here. Maybe a few other people as well. Karkaroth dies, but no one cares.
Right. Technically, Luthien isn't going to die until episode 13,
the next,
right? So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we won't actually be killing off both of our main characters in episode 12, but we're going to come up to the brink of that. All right. Anyway, so episode 12, it's a big deal. The Hunt for the Wolf. We're going to be talking about that next time in 2 weeks from now. And yes, we're still looking for folks who want to submit artwork contributions. In July, we're going to come around. So after we do episode 12 and episode 13, and then we have music and art after that are the other 2 episodes that we have. And we're going to do sets, I think, at the same time that we're going to do art. So
yeah, we'll see what we have to
we've
put
done,
together.
So
yeah. So it'll probably be any artwork to display we'll put together.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks to everybody who worked so hard on the casting stuff. I know that Steve Angel Eyes did a lot of work on filling in nominees and suggesting folks. Appreciate, Steve, all your work on that. And Marie, as always, thank you for your work helping with that. And this was a lot of fun. So, okay. Onward, episode 12, 2 weeks from now. Thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you guys again soon. And I will say, as always, thanks for listening and Godspeed.